We are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor.
Okay, as a Russian-speaking fella of yours, let me tell you something about Russia, what Russia can or cannot do. Most certainly, you gotta be sure, you gotta make sure you are sure Russia would not confront with the United States through military power. It simply will not. It can't and it won't. I tell you why. Because the most valuable thing for Vladimir Putin is his life. Should I mention the fact that the moment he will invade, he will confront with the United States through power, through the force, the brutal force, his life will be in danger since that moment. Should I mention this fact now? I mean, I'm doing Russian politics for years and I'm telling y'all guys, this is simply not impossible. Why do you think Putin always threatening to all over the world that he will fire his nukes if you will do or not do something? Why it's always a threat and never an action? Because the moment he will fire those nukes, that will be a death sentence for him. All leaders across the world, including United States of America leaders, will just join in one huge, maybe the biggest one hunt in history, just to find that motherfucker and simply unalive him. That's why all those nuclear threats are empty threats, nothing more. You should not fear of that, let alone the fact that Russia does not have as much nukes as they claim. They're simply lying to you. Those nukes were under the ground for 80 years or something. Now remember about corruption level in Russia, which is one of the highest in the world, and the fact that nukes need to be maintained properly or they won't work simply. And now combine all those facts in one simple conclusion in your head, which leads you to the point Russia does not have 8,000 nukes or whatever they claim they have. I give them few hundreds as maximum. So back to the point.
I would like to make a deal, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way.
Now he's threatening to Greenland, not to Russia. Russia cannot do anything to Greenland. Russia barely can afford this ongoing war with Ukraine. That's the best they can do. And Greenland is far away from Russia, not like next door country like Ukraine. So the chain of supplies for Russia in order to invade Greenland will be simply impossible for that level Russia is on right now.
I'm not talking about money for Greenland yet. I might talk about that. But right now, we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia...
Now, can the United States invade into Greenland and take it over if Trump wants that? Hell yeah, it can. And nobody, I mean it when I say it, nobody will be able to stop this power. United States military power, the #1 army in the world, nobody will be able. And to be honest with you, nobody even want to stop that. I'm not even talking about NATO. By the way, Denmark, which is like formal owner of the Greenland, it's also an ally of the United States by the NATO, and it's simply, you should not do that. But we got this guy in charge here and he does whatever the fuck he wants. I would even say it back. He does whatever the fuck I do whatever the fuck I want. And yeah, at this point I cannot predict who the fuck can stop him from doing that. No. But those Russian threats are empty threats. Trust me.
И при угрозе территориальной целостности нашей страны, для защиты России и нашего народа, мы, безусловно, используем все имеющиеся в нашем распоряжении средства. Это не блеф.
Russia doesn't even think about it invading into Greenland with force. Probably some sort of influence. The same shit Russia does with all countries in the world, including, by the way, United States of America, involving into other countries' elections. That's what they do. They are good at it. This guy got in charge, allegedly, I gotta say, but I know this as a fact, but allegedly, this guy got into office with the help of Russian propaganda, which I was debunking on my TikTok for months. I mean, for Russian-speaking people, it's pretty easy to notice those facts. Like, they say the same shit that they say in Russia. But when y'all guys who speak English hear those things, you obviously can't recognize that's a propaganda because you never heard it before.
I might talk about that, But right now, we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor. I would like to make a deal, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way.
Now China. As a possibility, China has enough power to do that. Probably. But again, who in the world will go against the United States military forces? Yeah, China got a big army, pretty developed one, but they also can maintain that army with United States dollars, because two biggest trade partners in the world, United States and China. And if China will lose access to all of the United States money, the government will simply collapse. Like, no, this is not a possibility. So those, especially Russia and partly China, are just nothing but empty promises, empty threats, I gotta say. And tell someone to president, I'm willing to do this job for him for free. If he want to know what is going on in Putin's head, I'm sure I can help him with it. Any advisors he got at this point. And for the sake of humanity, for the sake of all human beings on this planet, I would do this job for free, because sometimes I think, on my personal opinion, Putin just plays with Trump. And for some weird reasons, the president of the United States, he believes every single word he says for some reason. I don't know why, but someone please from the United States president environment tell him Putin is a liar. Every single word that come of his mouth is a lie. If he tells the snow is white, he is lying. And that's why, by the way, Donald Trump has zero chances to end this conflict with Ukraine, Russian-Ukrainian war, right? Peacefully, without pushing on Vladimir Putin. Zero chances. You cannot convince this guy. You cannot give him money. He won the game named money. He got all money of Russia in his pocket. What money are you talking about? What can you offer to the most powerful and rich person in the world? Much more powerful and much more wealthier than Elon Musk. Much more. All those billionaires, Zuckerberg, Musk, Bezos, they are nobody in comparison to Putin, because they got no country in their pocket. And Putin have the entire Russia. As a matter of fact, this system of the power, you gotta build it from the scratch for tens of years. American president only got 3 years left, which is not enough in my opinion. But that's only my opinion. I'm just a Russian-speaking person here. Who cares what do I think, right? I will explain to you in details why Donald Trump, speaking his language, got no cards on his hands to convince Putin to stop the war. That will be the topic of my next video, so make sure to follow me and see you tomorrow, guys.